My family wants me out of my house so my sister can live there. My 34F sister, 31F, was the first among 4 siblings to have a kid, 5F. My niece is incredibly spoiled by my sister, our parents, and extended family. My parents bend over backwards for my sister's requests, with one example being them canceling their anniversary trip because my sister asked to babysit while she goes on a girls' weekend. This spring, my boyfriend, the rock in my life, passed away. At the same time, I lost my job. I had a lot going on, and moved back to my hometown. My parents own a rural property they used to rent out. The property had been empty for a while and fairly run down. My parents invited me to stay there rent-free and told me it was my home for as long as I needed. I invested a lot of my time into getting the house fixed up, and also a lot of money once I found a remote gig I could work. I also made friends with Olya, a Ukrainian refugee with a young daughter. Olya was struggling and I invited her to stay with me for a couple of months while she got back on her feet. She was very thankful but hasn't made a firm response yet as she's trying to make things work independently. My parents had no issue with this. That was until recent drama. My brother-in-law had been working for a shady company, which skirted regulations for profit. The law had caught up with the owner, who folded the company and left the country. A few other things went down and my sister's family abruptly moved to our hometown, moving in with my parents. Almost immediately my parents and sister approached me to swap, wherein I would move in with my mom and my sister would move into the house. They said the house I lived in was too large for one person, and it'd be so much better for my niece to live on a beautiful property in nature. I didn't understand. My parents have 2 guest rooms, my sister/brother-in-law and the kid have their own bedrooms, while I sure didn't at 5 years old. My brother-in-law is still loaded from his old job and could easily get them a place, too. I was even more pissed by this because they were in the process of buying a Rolls-Royce, a process they started after moving in with my parents. When I mentioned my work on the property, it was dismissed. When I reminded them about Olya, my parents were outraged I was still intent on helping someone else and their child and not my own sister and niece. They kept making my sister's situation out to be nearly as bad as Olya's. Eventually it came down to my parents saying you're living on our property, you'll do as we want. I said, well you gave it to me and said this was my house as well, to be my home for as long as I needed. But if we want to talk in property terms and not family terms, evict me then. My parents are not evicting, but I receive daily calls and messages from them and extended family guilt tripping me and calling me a jerk-off for not giving up the more comfortable space to my sister, who is in such a difficult situation. And has a little child. As if they aren't fully capable of providing for themselves in the interim between my brother-in-law getting a new job. I'd love to hear what other people have to think about my situation here.